Beichuan was a beautiful mountain resort in the northern part of Sichuan. On May 12, 2008, a 7.9 earthquake hit and destroyed Wenchuan, Beichuan, and many cities along the ruptured fault line. This is the last town before descending into Beichuan, located in a valley among mountains. Once we pass the checkpoint, the large sign designates it as the autonomous county of Beichuan governed by the Qiang ethnic minority. Here we see some residents who have gone back to retrieve more belongings they have left behind. Right after the quake hit on May 12th, the road, the only way in and out of the city, was blocked for days by huge rocks and boulders, some the size of small cars. Our first peek into the city, where some 9,000 residents, or almost 40% of the total population, perished on that fateful day. This makes Beichuan one of the two worst hit cities of this 7.9 earthquake, the other one being Wenchuan, which is 100 kilometers away on the west of Beichuan. A quick visual survey tells us that perhaps 80% of all buildings in this city were either completely destroyed or damaged or otherwise rendered unusable.
I saw lots of the construction sites, either making new tents or they tear down the old temporary tents to build new for 3 years, I think a longer one. So finally, we saw the army people. They have a gate, the security check, and ordinary people, they are not allowed to enter the gate unless you have a document that say that you can be allowed to enter. So inside, basically nobody. The whole city is like a dead city. And we entered a couple of buildings. People were evacuated. They are not allowed to go back to their residence. The city is completely sealed. Yeah, you wear the masks, the guards. So I assume there are some people still buried under the building.
A small river meanders through the city, and a major lake accumulated nearby for weeks after May 12th and presented a major problem to survivors and cities downstream. The potential disaster was averted by directing and blasting new passages and directing the flow past the city down the mountains. The road up on high ground provided a great bird's-eye view of the quake-ravaged city. Closer examination of the buildings below showed that older buildings were ripped apart like matchboxes with wood littered around like matchsticks, while some of the steel and concrete buildings built in the last 20 years to cater to commerce and tourism remained intact superficially, but were often uprooted and fallen onto each other like dominoes. Few, if any, of the buildings in this ravaged city remain structurally sound for continual use as offices or residences. In the distant side of the mountains, one can see some residents who have snuck past to return for their personal belongings. Here we are on the final approach into the city. The concrete roadway had been ripped up, exposing the steel bars that connected them, and much of the soil and mud below had drained away. Here we are on ground level inside the city. Soon we will enter one of the offices in the building on the right to survey the inside damage. This is a building which is typical of those built in the 1990s in China. A closer look showed most of the walls have characteristic cross-hatched cracks. We went under the stairwells of this apartment building and was quickly warned by our guide not to stay there, as hundreds of aftershocks happen every day. Here are photos of a residential compound and the inside of an office abandoned in great hurry on that fateful day. The ground surrounding the building complexes had cracked up like popcorn. Here's the entryway that carried an ironic sign that said, "Have a safe entry and exit." This is also the building of the Beichuan Planned Parenthood Service Center.
And Beichuan Middle School, and it's completely collapsed. People and children, especially children, were buried underneath. You can imagine the parents, because it happened in the afternoon, bright day lights. So children are studying in the school. Parents are working, so it must be devastated for the parents. Anything can happen. It's just like second.
Here are the few offices and residences on one side of the city, left with just wooden planks. These are scenes of utter destruction that one would not have seen on TV, or certainly not in person. The lifeless landscape was reminiscent of a war zone. Beichuan was a city with great feng shui, complete with mountains, forests, valleys, and rivers. The USGS visit and this footage was filmed on August 12, 2008. Now only some candles of prayer stand vigilant overlooking this city of death, Beichuan, which was completely destroyed when the earth below shook for 82 seconds on May 12, 2008, a date that will forever remain in the hearts and consciousness of the Chinese people.